There's something nobody tells you about falling in love with a TV character. You're not just falling for the character. You're falling for the person behind them. And for decades, we watched these faces every single week, on our screens, in our living rooms, like they were family. But the real story, the one happening off camera, that one was even more interesting. Who did they actually go home to? Who loved them when the camera stopped rolling? And how do they look today, together, apart, or completely transformed? Drop a comment right now. Which TV star from your childhood do you still think about? Let's see who lives rent-free in your head. Because some of these couples will warm your heart. And at least one of them will genuinely surprise you. Starting with a name that defined an entire era of television. There are very few faces in television history that became synonymous with an entire decade. Jennifer Aniston is one of them. From 1994 to 2004, she was Rachel Green, the girl with a haircut the whole world copied, the laugh that made Monday nights feel like a gift, the character who grew from a runaway bride into one of TV's most beloved women. Friends didn't just make her famous. It made her iconic. At its peak, the show pulled 52 million viewers for a single episode, and Jennifer was at the heart of every one of them. Off-screen, the world was equally fascinated. In 2000, she married Brad Pitt, Hollywood's golden couple, the pair that magazines couldn't stop putting on covers. They looked like a fairy tale. And then, in 2005, the fairy tale ended. Quietly, painfully, in a way that the whole world had an opinion about, whether she asked for it or not. What most people forget is how she carried that moment with dignity that most of us couldn't manage on our best day. She later married actor and director Justin Theroux in 2015, a quieter, more private love. They separated in 2017. And through every chapter, Aniston never stopped working, never stopped showing up, never let the noise become the story. Today, at 57, she remains one of the most recognizable women on the planet. Still producing, still acting, still that same warmth the camera has always loved. Some people are just built to endure and to make it look effortless. Before Walter White, before the Blue Meth, before I Am the One Who Knocks. Bryan Cranston was a bumbling, lovable dad in Malcolm in the Middle, a man the whole family laughed with, never at, for 7 seasons. He made chaos look like love, and he was brilliant at it. Then in 2008, everything changed. Breaking Bad didn't just redefine his career, it redefined what television was capable of. Walter White became one of the most complex, terrifying, and deeply human characters ever written. Bryan won 4 Primetime Emmy Awards for that role. 4. And every single one was earned in a way that still makes other actors quietly uncomfortable. But here's the part that gets lost in all the Walter White mythology. While Bryan Cranston was busy playing a man whose marriage crumbled spectacularly on screen, his real marriage was doing the exact opposite. He met Robin Dearden in 1984 on the set of Airwolf. She was playing a hostage. He was playing the villain, holding her captive. And somewhere between the script and the silence after the cameras cut, something real began. They married in 1989. They are still together today. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that button right now. Because the stories still coming on this list, they only get more remarkable from here. Over 35 years. In an industry where relationships are treated like seasonal contracts, Bryan Cranston and Robin Dearden chose each other again and again and again. Today, Bryan is 69, still acting, still magnetic, and still, by every account, completely devoted to the woman he once pretended to hold hostage. Longevity in Hollywood is rare. That kind of love is even rarer. Carrie Bradshaw had a lot of love interests. Big, Aiden, Berger, Petrovsky, the list goes on. 6 seasons of Sex and the City built an entire mythology around one woman's search for the right person. And somewhere in all those Manolo Blahniks and New York City rooftops, Sarah Jessica Parker became the face of modern romantic longing for an entire generation of women. But the man she actually went home to every night, he wasn't a brooding Mr. Big type. He wasn't complicated or emotionally unavailable. He was Matthew Broderick, Ferris Bueller himself, the boy who convinced a generation that life moves pretty fast, and you better stop to look around once in a while. They met in 1991, married in 1997, and in an industry that treats forever like a punchline, they are still standing. It has not always been easy. There were years of public scrutiny, tabloid whispers, and the kind of pressure that quietly dismantles couples who aren't paying attention. But Sarah Jessica Parker has never been the kind of woman who lets the outside world write her story. Together, they have 3 children. And today, at 61, she carries herself with the same elegant, slightly quirky energy that made Carrie Bradshaw feel like someone you actually knew. Matthew Broderick, now 63, still performs on Broadway, the stage that first made him extraordinary long before Hollywood ever called. 2 New York souls, still in the same city, still in the same life. There's something quietly beautiful about that. For 10 years, Ross Geller was a lovable, overeager paleontologist who just wanted someone to love him back. And America loved him for it. David Schwimmer brought something genuinely rare to Friends, a vulnerability that never felt performed. Ross was awkward and passionate and occasionally insufferable, and yet you rooted for him every single time. Through 3 divorces on screen, a pet monkey, and the most drawn-out will the won't they in sitcom history, Schwimmer made sure you never stopped caring. Off-screen, his love life was considerably quieter. He met British artist and photographer Zoe Buckman in 2010 in London while he was directing a play. There's something fitting about that David Schwimmer, the actor who always seemed most at home in the theater, finding love in that same world. They married in 2010 and welcomed a daughter, Cleo, in 2011. Then in 2017, they announced a separation, quietly, without drama, in a joint statement that was more mature than most Hollywood endings managed to be. What happened next is something the headlines barely covered. They continued co-parenting with what every account describes as genuine warmth and mutual respect. No public war, no bitter narrative, just 2 people choosing their daughter over their differences. Today, David is 58, directing, producing, occasionally acting, and by all accounts, deeply devoted to fatherhood in a way that would make even Ross Geller proud. Some love stories don't end. They just change shape. And speaking of friendships that quietly became something deeper, the next story is one that started on the most famous sofa in television history. Monica Geller was the one who had everything organized. The dinner parties, the cleaning routines, the 5-year plan. Courtney Cox played her with such precise, committed energy that Monica became the backbone of Friends, the one holding everyone together while pretending it wasn't hard work. And for a long time, Courtney Cox's real life looked just as put together. She married actor David Arquette in 1999, the same year Friends was pulling in audiences of 25 million per episode. They were charming together, playful, the kind of couple that seemed genuinely happy in a way that wasn't performed for cameras. They have a daughter, Coco, born in 2004. But by 2010, they separated, divorced officially in 2013. What came next was something nobody predicted. In 2013, Courtney met Johnny McDade, guitarist and songwriter for Snow Patrol, a quiet Irishman more comfortable in recording studios than on red carpets. They got engaged in 2014. Then, in 2015, they called it off. And then, in the way that only real love tends to work, they found their way back to each other anyway. They are together today, unbothered, unannounced. Just 2 people who apparently needed a little time to be sure. If you grew up watching Friends on a Thursday night, feeling like these characters were somehow part of your own life, you already understand why their stories still matter. They weren't just entertainment. They were company. Courtney Cox is 60 today, still producing, still acting, still, by every appearance, a woman who knows exactly who she is. Monica would approve. He walked with a cane. He popped Vicodin like breath mints. He was rude, brilliant, and almost pathologically incapable of caring what anyone thought of him. And we absolutely could not get enough. From 2004 to 2012, Hugh Laurie was Dr. Gregory House, the most unconventional doctor in television history, a man who treated his patients like puzzles and his colleagues like inconveniences. The show ran for 8 seasons. Hugh received 2 Golden Globe Awards for the role. And he did it all with an American accent so flawless that millions of viewers had absolutely no idea they were watching a man from Oxford, England. That detail alone still stops people cold. Because before House, Hugh Laurie was beloved in Britain for something almost completely opposite: the bumbling gentle comedy of Blackadder and a bit of Fry and Laurie, the latter alongside his lifelong friend Stephen Fry. He was a comedian first, a dramatic actor second, and somehow he became one of the most celebrated dramatic actors of his generation anyway. Off-screen, his story is quieter than the character he played. Hugh has been with Jo Green since 1989. They married that same year. They have 3 children together. And in nearly 4 decades of one of Hollywood's most unforgiving environments, they have simply stayed. No headlines, no drama, no carefully worded statements. Just a man who plays chaos for a living and chooses calm when the cameras stop. Today, Hugh Laurie is 66. Still acting. Still playing piano and guitar with the kind of genuine musicality that reminds you he almost pursued music professionally before comedy found him first. Quietly extraordinary in every direction he turns. Gabrielle Solis had it all on the surface. The perfect house on Wisteria Lane. The designer wardrobe. The devastating cheekbones. Desperate Housewives ran from 2004 to 2012, and Eva Longoria played Gabrielle as sharp, self-aware wit that made her far more than just a beautiful one. She was the funniest one, the most surprising one, the one you kept watching even when the plot gave you every reason to look away. But Eva Longoria's real life has always been more interesting than any script. Her first marriage to NBA player Tyler Christopher ended in 2004. Her second, to French basketball player Tony Parker in 2007, became one of the most high-profile sports and entertainment unions of that era. When they divorced in 2011, the tabloids had a field day. Eva Longoria, by every account, did not. She kept working, kept building, kept becoming. Because here's what the headlines about her love life consistently buried. Eva Longoria is also a producer, a director, a philanthropist, and a political activist whose work behind the camera rivals anything she has done in front of it. Then came Pepe Baston, Mexican media executive, father of 3, quietly powerful in ways that don't require a red carpet. They married in 2016 in a ceremony in Valle de Bravo, Mexico, surrounded by close friends and family. Their son Santiago was born in 2018. Today, Eva is 51, radiant in a way that feels earned rather than maintained. Still directing, still advocating, still the most interesting person in any room she walks into. Gabrielle Solis was fictional. Eva Longoria is the better story. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. 3 words. One of the most memorable coaching mantras in television history. And a man who delivered it every week with absolute conviction made you believe it every single time. Kyle Chandler played Coach Eric Taylor in Friday Night Lights from 2006 to 2011. And if you watch that show, you already know that played is almost the wrong word. He inhabited that man, the quiet authority, the weight of responsibility he carried without complaint, the way he loved his wife and his town and his players with a steadiness that felt almost radical on modern television. He won the Primetime Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actor in a drama series in 2011. It was overdue by at least 2 seasons. But here is what makes Kyle Chandler's story resonate differently than almost anyone else on this list. He has been married to Katherine Chandler since 1995. They have 2 daughters. They live on a ranch in Texas, not in Los Angeles, not in New York, not in the machinery of the industry that made him famous. In Texas, on a ranch, by choice. In an era when celebrity culture demands constant visibility, Kyle Chandler has consistently, deliberately chosen the opposite. He shows up for the work. He goes home to his family. He does not perform his private life for anyone. Subscribe now if you haven't yet, because the stories left on this list are the ones that will genuinely stay with you. Today, he is 59, still working, Bloodline, Game of Thrones, Pachinko, each role chosen with the same careful intention he brings to everything. Coach Taylor taught television how a good man stands. Kyle Chandler just kept on proving it. From a man who quietly walked away from the spotlight to a woman who has spent 30 years standing in it and somehow made that look like the easiest thing in the world. 26 seasons. Let that number sit for a moment. Since 1999, Mariska Hargitay has played detective, later captain, Olivia Benson on Law and Order, SVU. 26 seasons, one of the most demanding roles in television history. A character who walks into the darkest corners of human experience every single week and somehow find a way to keep going. Mariska didn't just play Olivia Benson. She became her in ways that blurred the line between fiction and purpose. The fan mail she received changed everything. Survivors of assault writing to tell her that Olivia Benson made them feel seen for the first time, that watching her made them brave enough to speak, that a fictional detective on a crime procedural gave them something real life hadn't. So Mariska founded the Joyful Heart Foundation in 2004, a nonprofit dedicated to healing, education, and advocacy for survivors of sexual assault, domestic violence, and child abuse. She didn't do it for publicity. She did it because the letters made it impossible not to. That is who she is off-screen. She met actor Peter Hermann on the set of SVU in 2001. He was guest starring. She was already the heart of the show. They married in 2004. They have 3 children together, 2 adopted and 1 biological, a family built with the same intentionality Mariska brings to everything she touches. Today she is 61, still on set, still Olivia Benson, still somehow making a 26-year-old role feel urgent and alive. Some actors find a character. Mariska Hargitay found a calling, and from a woman who turned a role into a life's mission, to a man whose most famous character couldn't have been more different from the life he actually chose to live. For 9 seasons, Jim Halpert looked directly into that camera. Just a glance, a raised eyebrow, a half smile that said everything the scene couldn't. And in those small, quiet moments, John Krasinski made millions of viewers feel like they were on a joke together. The Office ran from 2005 to 2013, and Jim Halpert became one of the most beloved characters in American comedy. Not because he was the loudest person in the room, but because he was the most real. John Krasinski understood something most actors spend careers learning. Stillness is its own kind of power. And then he went and proved it in every possible direction. He wrote and directed A Quiet Place in 2018, a film so tense, so precisely crafted, that audiences sat in genuine silence watching it. It grossed over $340 million worldwide on a budget of $17 million. The man who spent years playing the funny, lovable slacker turned out to be one of the most naturally gifted filmmakers of his generation. Nobody saw that coming. Almost everybody should have. He met Emily Blunt in 2008 at a dinner with mutual friends. She is by any measure one of the finest actresses working today. The Devil Wears Prada, Sicario, Oppenheimer, a career built on fearless, transformative choices. They married in 2010. They have 2 daughters. What makes them compelling isn't the glamour, it's the consistency. 2 enormously talented people who seem to genuinely like each other, who show up to each other's premieres with real pride, who talk about their marriage with warmth that doesn't feel rehearsed. Today, John is 45, directing, producing, acting, building something that started with a single glance at a documentary camera and became something nobody fully predicted. The quiet ones always surprise you. From a love story built on genuine admiration to one that was tested by very public heartbreak and came out the other side stronger than anyone expected.